bem na direção.
Lindo demais, amor. Nossa. Caraca. Olha ele olhando pra gente.
Definição de amor,
Olha ele olhando pra
medo.
gente. Eu não sei explicar o medo e a admiração que eu tô de estar tão perto de um animal como esse. Caraca. Eu tô muito nervosa, gente. Vocês não têm noção. Mas ela tá tranquila, tá cheia de sangue.
Tá
ali.
nada. Tá tranquila tô eu. Peraí, amor, baixa esse negócio aí.
Picture, you in the perfect position. Papa was a bit following. No, maybe we'll give it.
So is this the alpha male for the 7 lions?
Se ele atacar, ele vai atacar bem em cima de mim.
Linda, né?
Ai, meu Deus.
Are these guys guarded? Are they guarded? Yeah, yeah. Amor, se acontece qualquer coisa aqui, eu só jogo pra trás dele. Olha o elefante, gente, lá no fundo, olha. Ai, que coisa mais linda.
doce. Eles acabaram de comer. Caralho. Tá encarando. Tá vindo pra cá. Que maneiro. Oi? Seguimos esse daí.
were eligible to receive only 3 blankets. 2 blankets were used to replace a sheet and a pillow. So they were allowed to sleep with 1 blanket, even during the winter season. And during those years, there were no glasses inside those window frames. And the rain will come through inside the cells. Here in Cape Town during winter season, there's a lot of rain. It's very cold and windy. Other people got the diseases like TB and double pneumonia. And they died. And the ex-political prisoners went on hunger strike for many days without food, demanding beds, and the authorities responded after 15 years, where all political prisoners were allowed to get beds. As political prisoners, we were segregated here on Robben Island. There were colored political prisoners, Asian political prisoners, and black political prisoners. Only male political prisoners, female political prisoners were locked in Kronstadt prison in mainland, and white political prisoners were locked in Pretoria prison, also in mainland. We were segregated on clothes we wearing. The colored and Asian political prisoners were allowed to wear the long sleeve shirts, long trousers, with socks, shoes, and a jacket. But the black political prisoners were allowed to wear the short sleeve shirts, short trousers, with no socks, no shoes, no jackets, even during the winter season. People like Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela spent 18 years here on Robben Island, with no socks, no shoes, no jacket, and also no underwear. And we were segregated on that scale. That was the diet scale that was given to us as political prisoners. So colored and Asian political prisoners. On meal, they were given 6 ounces, which is 200 grams. And black political prisoners were given 12 ounces, which is 400 grams. On bread, colored and Asian political prisoners were given 4 ounces. And black political prisoners were not allowed to receive bread. They were allowed to receive Phuza Manga drink, the so-called energy drink. But it yet never gave us any energy. So Phuza Manga, the so-called energy drink, was a white liquid that was mixed with a white powder in order the black political prisoners cannot be able to have children. And during my arrival here on Robben Island, I was 17 years old, and I was warned by the elders not to drink that so-called energy drink, because I won't be able to have children. Even those ex-political prisoners, the time they were released out of this prison, they end up divorced by their wives because they were not able to have children. And jail or syrup, colored and Asian political prisoners were given 1 out, and black political prisoners were not allowed to receive jail or syrup. And during our arrival as political prisoners, we were given the new names. As I have already mentioned that my original name is Bucks, but during my arrival, I was given another name, and I was called 46664, and we were given a yellow card. On that yellow card, they will write your new name. That was the yellow card that was given to us as political prisoners during our arrival. So that was the yellow card of Billy Naya, who was serving 20 years imprisonment here on Robben Island. And he was charged for sabotage. And his new name was 6964. And this person, Billy Nye, was charged on 28th of February 1964 and was released on 27th of February 1984. So he served all the 20 years in imprisonment here on Robben Island. Because if you have been sentenced for 20 years, you will serve all the 20 years in imprisonment here on Robben Island. There was no remission, no parole here on Robben Island. And I myself, I was sentenced for 15 years. But because of the gradual release of political prisoners, I only spent 7 years. Because all political prisoners were released on 27th of April 1991. So Robben Island consists of 7 sections. There is a section for those who recently arrived on Robben Island, who will stay for a period of 6 months in solitary confinement. There is also this section for those who were considered the leaders of the organizations. People like Nelson Mandela, Walter Sisulu, Ahmad Kathrada, Strainy Woodley, Mac Maharaj, and others. And also there is C section, which was used as a punishment section. If you have done something wrong here on Robben Island, you will be locked in those single cells in C section, where they will punish you. And there were 3 punishments that the authorities were using. The first punishment was the beatings, where they would use sticks, shambles, punches, whipping, and also kicking you. And also there was what they called in Afrikaans, 3 month day, where you would be locked in solitary confinement the whole day with no water, no food. You will eat and drink the following morning. And there was a 30-day special diet where you would be forced to eat only porridge for a period of 30 days. A soft porridge with no sugar, no salt, no milk. A soft porridge that you can easily drink. You will starve for 30 days and you'll be very weak the time you finish your 30-day special diet. And also there is this section for those who were arrested in Namibia, who were led by Toivo. They were brought here on robbery to serve their sentences. There is also E, F, G sections. Those are the communal or general cells like this cell. So, any questions before we can go to Mandela cell? And the first time I came back here, it was very painful for me because it reminds me of my past. But after some time, I realized that also heals me inside. It's a therapy for me to come here and tell the people our experience. And those found beds over there were brought by the International Red Cross. The authorities gave us the permission to beds, but they didn't bring beds. Initially, we were sleeping on the floor using those instruments. And the time those beds arrived, there were no mattresses. So we were forced with the mat on the bottom to sleep on, and your body would be very painful. And the youngest political prisoner here on the island was 13 years old. So on that note, I have no option but to lock you inside the cell. But before we can go to my cell, we will firstly go to that cell. Inside that cell, there are some stories of the Namibian prisoners that we read them. And also inside the corridor, the last 2 cells, so there are some stories of the South African prisoners that may read them. But I will give you 5 minutes to read the stories. After 5 minutes, we go to Mandela cell in this cell.
Have contact with them, one of the 60.
Oh, yes, we are also meeting annually.
Meeting annually.
Next month also we will be having our reunion
All right.
as political prisoners.
All right.
Because now we are less than 500 political prisoners alive.
How many?
Less
Alive?
than 500.
Less than 500.
Yes, but now we have over 10,000 former political prisoners. But people now are dying, now also aging. Yeah.
And this is about all of them, but only for this cell. Do you have a contact with them, with someone?
Well,
Or-
we do have some contact with some others, because others also in the cell passed away. Yes. But now we are very few now.
Yeah,
Still
I
alive.
can imagine.
Yeah, we are locked in the cell.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, in front of us, we have a hospital. It's where those who were very mentally sick were locked. They were brutally beaten and tortured by the security police in detention. And they were brought in that hospital section in order to get some medical observation. And also there were those who survived the death penalty because they were sentenced for death penalty and they appealed it. But the appeal was successful and they were sentenced for life imprisonment. And the time they were told that their appeal was successful, they were about to be hanged, and they were very depressed. And they were brought in that hospital section in order to get some medical observation. Even now, there are still some other political prisoners who are still mentally sick, but there's nobody who's taking care of them. Some of them are unemployed and homeless. So let's proceed to
Olha, está até cadeirante.
Para as pessoas, né? Conhecerem.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are now in this section courtyard, where people like Nelson Mandela used to eat and exercise. And on top of this building, we have a census office. Is where our letters were heavily censored. They would use a scissor and cut your letter. Sometimes they would use a corky pen and erased all the important things on your letter. So you will only receive address and salutation. And were allowed to receive one letter a year and one visitor a year. And in front of us, we have a garden. That garden was made by Nelson Mandela. Inside that garden, there's that vine tree. Behind that vine tree on that corner is where Nelson Mandela was hiding and buried his manuscript, The Long Walk to Freedom. And the authorities found his book and he was punished. They didn't allow him to study for 4 years. And the time the authorities found Mandela's book, Nelson Mandela had already given another copy of the book to Mac Maharaj, the then Minister of Transport. Mac Maharaj was due to be released in 1976, and he smuggled the book outside the prison. And the book was read all over the world. Surprisingly, after our democratic elections of 1994, Nelson Mandela elected Mac Maharaj as the Minister of Transport because he was good on transportation of information. So let's proceed to Mandela.
Ele contou que Mandela
And on the wall that found original map of
A gente vai lançar o número.
So we're forced to kind of store using a chisel and a hammer. And your hands will be blistered and bleeding. And we're forced to push a wheelbarrow with these blistered and bleeding hands. The main purpose of Grote was to build this prison. And if your wheelbarrow is not full of these stones, so the authorities will instruct the German Shepherd dog to beat you. So let's proceed.
Imagina ele passar a mão aqui várias vezes nessa pedra.
Inside Mandela cell, there is a bucket that was used by Nelson Mandela for 18 years here on government. Because there are no toilets, no taps, and no toilet papers inside their cells, they were forced to use those buckets to relieve themselves. And also inside Mandela cell, there are 3 folded blankets. As political prisoners, we were forced to fold our blankets the way they showed us. If you have folded your blankets in a different way, the authorities will lock you in solitary confinement. They will beat you using thumb punches, whipping, and also kicking you. So Nelson Mandela spent only 18 years in that cell. After 18 years, he was deported to Paul's prison, where he spent 7 years. And after 7 years, he was deported to Victor Festa prison, where he spent 2 years. And where he was released in 1990, 11th of February. So Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison in total. And they were not allowed to speak to each other once they are locked inside the cells. If you are speaking with somebody next door, you will be punished. And these windows were welded closed to prevent them not to talk to each other. And they were painted black in order not to see each other. But the window there inside, it was only the bars. And initially it was metal doors. These wooden doors were put after our release. Because after our release, the authorities brought common law prisoners here on Robben Island. And if you are speaking with somebody next door, the authorities will hear you because there's an intercom radio inside the cells. And this intercom radio will connect to this red light. And this red light will flash like a camera the time you are busy speaking with somebody next door. And the authority who's coming inside that way, he will recognize you by this red light. That was the one who was busy speaking with somebody next door. And the authority will press the green button on bottom. And the red light on top will disappear. And also this floor was made of small concrete stones. But after our release, they brought common law prisoners here on Island. And they beautified this floor. So after taking pictures, we proceed straight down that way. Now is the end of our tour. So allow me to thank you to come and visit this wonderful place of ours. As political prisoners, we have reconciled. We cannot have grudges to those people who have victimized, tortured us. Because all those years we had fought for peace. And now we have achieved our democracy to show that we have reconciled. Most of us are staying here on Providence, and also myself. And those that victimized us here on Providence, we are now friends. And also we thank the international community. Their contribution that they made during our struggle by supporting us militarily, financially, morally, and spiritually. On that note, I thank you. May God bless now will proceed to the harbor. Thank you now, you are released.
E num horário bom, né?
É.
Caraca, olha pra trás,
Caralho,
lindo.
olha que foda. Olha isso.
Olha pra lá, amor, os veleiros, olha os veleiros.
Caraca, eu não sabia que era tão maneiro essa roda gigante.
Que legal.
Tô de bobeira.
E o vento?
Caraca, amor. Olha isso aqui. Olha essa vista.
Tô vendo, muito lindo. Só quantos minutos aqui dentro?
Ih, amor, sei não. Tá filmando, meu amor. Ah, é?
Meu amor tá cheio de cachaça, que ele tomou caipirinha.
É. Vai? pedras.
Você que tem que tomar cuidado, você filmando e andando no pedralhado desse.
Vai ficar irado o áudio desse vídeo.
Não, é bom que as pessoas saibam, não você é meio que sem
Aí todo mundo pensa que eu sou maluco.
noção. Agora vão ter certeza. Né?
É. Se a água fosse tão quente quanto do Havaí, ia ser tipo pau a pau. Tu ia entrar na água
Sem
dessa aí.
tubarão.
Sem também.
E aqui não é só água, é macarrão. Né?
É. Aqui, ó.
Nem se assusta com a gente.
Amor. Érica. Fica ali do lado dele. Só não deixa ele te atacar.
Não, é óbvio, né? O objetivo é esse. Sabe por que não tem Érica? Porque uma pessoa que se chama Érica não faz a mesa dela.
Não, meu amor. É?
Bodaquielo. É a música dela.
Olha o Rio de Janeiro, amor. A distância. A distância para o rio e a direção.
What were they saying?
10,000 round fine. You and all your friends went round.
Oh wow.
And then I said, they're not my friends.
Wir gehen noch ein Stück nach vorne. Ja. Ja, jetzt.
Also because of sanctions, boycotts and embargoes imposed against this country by nations perturbed by the brutality of their apartheid policies, but most critically the profits of important multinational corporations have begun to suffer, and so in alarm the chiefs of multinational corporations argue that a political solution should be found. The economic and financial elites at the time considered Nelson Mandela to be the best hope for the survival or continuation of the free market economic model, and so he was therefore transferred to that prison we've just seen to the right. Here negotiators would have easier access to him, and so for some 7.5 years negotiations were held here at the Polsmer prison in the utmost secrecy. General members of the public only learnt of this in recent years. Now, down to the right,